What's going on, everybody? You are now watching the very first episode of the 300 podcast brought to you by Encoded Media. Along with myself, I have my co-host and co-CEO, Gilbert Moda. Gilbert, go ahead and take it away, my brother.
Yes, sir, Kelvin, my guy. This is my partner right here. We're part of the Encoded Media Club. I'm also co-host of the Encoded podcast, also part of the 300 Club. We're right here. We have a brand new show for you guys. 300 Club will be based mostly around baseball topics, preferably the Mets and the Yankees, but not exclusive to MLB. And yeah, join us on our convo, man. It should be an exciting one. It's recent, it's fresh, and let's get it popping, man.
All right. And while we go ahead and share our opinions, make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on all of our socials as well. We have the 300 Club, Monument Talk. We have Encoded Media as well, and the Encoded Podcast. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow. Go ahead and support the channel, man, as we go ahead and on our goal towards 100 followers. 100 followers. I think that's pretty doable. What you think, Gilbert?
Let's get it popping, man.
Let's
Everybody
get it.
share, subscribe,
Gotta start.
comment.
Yeah, gotta start somewhere, right?
You like something, you don't like something, type it in, man. We out
All
here.
right. Cool. So as we go ahead and discuss our first topic, so 300 Club is pretty much going to be a Yankees and Mets podcast, like my co-host Gilbert mentioned. We're going to be talking Yankees and Mets, also general discussions about MLB, what's going on in the MLB. We're going to be sharing our opinions and everything. So with that being said, one of the first things that we want to discuss is going to be the overview of the New York Yankees after Gerrit Cole's injury. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm the Yankee representative here in this channel. Let me
I'm
tell
a
you
Mets
something.
fan.
Gilbert is a Mets fan here, but it's all right. It's all one world here. We all support each other in New York sports. The Gerrit Cole injury. Wow, dude, I was scared. I was scared. I mean, not to cut ass, but Jacob DeGrom going down for you guys multiple years. I can understand how that feels.
It changes the trajectory of the whole season because now you got to scratch. Now you got to go to plan B, C, and D, etc. It changes
Exactly.
everything. It changes everything.
It's scary too because last year, honestly speaking, if it wasn't for Gerrit Cole, I mean, that winning streak that we had for multiple years on end, I mean, I don't even think we'll be able. Absolutely not. I mean, he had a Cy Young year. It was looking bad. I ain't gonna lie, bro. For those 2 3 days, which by the way, I mean, the Yankees when it comes down to like taking care of their media, announcing things on the news or whatever the case is, they're the worst. Like hands down, they're the worst. They give the fans anxiety. Like they don't tell you anything. They keep everything close to the vest. I mean, it's frustrating for us Yankees fans, but man, those 2 3 days that we were questioning his elbow, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was scared. I was really, really scared. When you guys were going through that with Jacob DeGrom, I mean, as a Met fan, you guys were in the playoff race. That's the horse. That's your ace. Like, how do you come back from that if he was gone? Or in this case, Jacob DeGrom when he wasn't there. Like, how do
I
you
feel
guys come
like
back from that?
I feel like it's hard as a fan because think about it like this, like the Grom, he's one of the greatest pitchers in my opinion that I've seen in my lifetime. He's one of the best pitchers in Mets history of all time. And when you're building a team around him and he's hurt, it changes plans. Like I said earlier, like now you have to resort to other players. Now you asking for other players to step up in a bigger role. Some of them are not even prepared for that. Like imagine you a number three or number four starter, and now you're being asked to be a number two. Like that's a big adjustment because now
That's
you're
big.
facing of other number twos likely. You know what I mean? Because that's how the rotations are set. Aces typically want to face aces to match up to give them the teams the equal, advantage. So in the case of Gerrit Cole, it's like, damn, like last year he won Cy Young. The Yankees had a mediocre season. They kind of wasted his Cy Young, in my opinion. But hey, he did what he had to do. He did what he's getting paid to do. And now it's like coming into this year with a lot of expectations. You have Judge, who you signed last year to a massive contract, the captain of the team. And then you have Juan Soto. You traded for him. He has a year left in his contract. And next year he's likely to go in the market to free agency. So it's like now that you have Gerrit Cole out, it kind of changes expectations because now you have to overcompensate to try to persuade or throw things in to have Soto stay and believe that the Yankees could build the winning culture for the next several years. So I feel like Gerrit Cole being out, personally, I think it could be in the mind of Soto or his agents heading as the season progresses. So it's something to track and see how it plays out.
And I'm not gonna lie, like we cannot trust nobody on that pitching staff if it's not Gerrit Cole. Let's just be honest. I mean, Carlos Rodon, we got him to be the number two or 1A, 1B. Let me tell you something. Last year was a total disappointment. Like I get it, but he had like a back strain or whatever the case is. He had like a chronic back issue. Later on in the season, I think he committed another injury or whatever the case is. But I mean, the man's came into camp a little pudgy. a little pudgy. You know, the gut was hanging over his uniform a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. You know, he has a family, he has kids. You know, it could be the dad way over the case is maybe with that new contract. You know, he probably went out to eat a couple times more than he should have. But I feel like last year, Carlos Rodon was not worth the money that the Yankees gave him. I mean, he's not spending my money, but dude, like he was not number two, three, four, five material at
Nah,
all.
he was a waste last year.
Oh,
He,
absolutely. And you know,
he
I feel like he has good intent, you know, like I mean, blowing kisses to the fans, you know, that's not something you can't really do, you know, turning your back on your pitching coach. I understand that, you know, but at the end of the day, dude, like the optics, first year being a Yankee, big contract, those are just things you can't do, bro. You can't be doing that. And on top of that, you're pitching really bad. Like I was about to, you know, curse on camera, but he was pitching really, really bad. So I mean, Nestor Cortez. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan, yo, and Nestor Cortez, I love the guy, love his personality, love how who he is with everybody else. But is he number three, four? He's probably a four, but is he really a 2-3? Does he really profile to be a 2-3? In my honest opinion, I don't think so. A 4-5, yes. A reliable 4-5, yes. Three
I
on a
think
good day, absolutely. But I need you to go further than 4 and 2/3, 5, 6 innings, man. Like I need you to get a little bit further than that. And
I
you know,
feel
he
like
was non-existent last year too. He wasn't even there.
yeah,
Like,
I feel like Rick Cortez. Personally, I think he's like you said, like a 3, 4, 5. If he's a 5, that's a great number 5 starter. A 3, that's asking little too much, but it's doable. 4, I feel like is the ideal spot for him.
I agree.
Unfortunately, he might be slid into like second or third, depending on how they rotate with Stroman and Rodon. Carlos Rodon, I actually wanted him on the Mets last time he was a free agent.
Oh,
A
he's a
little
gamer. He's a gamer. On a good day, he's a gamer,
but
dude.
no one
That dude is a
expected
boom
that
boom.
injury after that contract. And then last year, he was pretty much, a waste because he was never really healthy throughout the year. The velo dropped coming into spring training. The velo picked up a little bit, but it's still not where he had it a couple years ago. So I feel like that could be a concern if he is healthy this year. Um, I've seen an approach that he could take. He could probably go the CC Sabathia approach when he started losing a velo. You start working more with mixing your pitches, timing your pitches, working on your all-speed control, your spin rate. These are things that you could try to do to close the gap between, pitchers in the major league where they mostly thrown over 95. You could throw a little slower, but you gotta have, some jerk in it.
Right, right,
So,
right. No, I mean, it's well documented that he is a two pitch pitcher. Like a fastball slider is his go to.
and I don't think that's
Now,
enough with
I
Leslie
don't
though.
think that's enough either. Now, to Rodon's credit, I mean, he came into camp in great shape, dude. Like the dude looked like he lost a lot of weight. I think at the end of last year, it was documented that he said that after the season that he took some time out. He didn't even want to talk to his family. I don't think he was with them for quite some time, and he just want. Sometimes, hey, if it works for you, it works for you. Every player is different, man. Like there are some players that like the rah rah and they're hard on themselves, and there's other people who surround themselves with nothing but positivity, and it works out for them too. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's approach is different. However, I think that we can agree that the Yankee players, especially this going into this offseason, they went in there with, you know, some type of fire. And in addition, like you mentioned, you know, having different pitch arsenals and stuff like that. I think it's very important for him to add more pitches to his repertoire for sure. My only concern is that he throws fastball slider and he's been working with Andy Pettit and CC Sabathia in terms of adopting a cutter. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, a fastball can elevate somewhat or it can run slider, depending on if you throw it right or lefty, is gonna run to your
Across.
opposite hand, right? And then a cutter is essentially is a mix between a fastball and a slider. It just cuts in depending on the direction in which you're throwing. Now, having three pitches that rely on each other for deception, a fastball, cutter, and a slider, I'm not 100% sure if that's honestly gonna be. I mean, I'm not a pitcher. Let's just be honest. Like I've never been a pitcher. I've always been an infielder, outfielder throughout my career. Didn't really go in far. That's why you see us doing a podcast, because you know. But at the end of the day, having a fastball, cutter, slider in your repertoire, having that be your three main pitches, all essentially looking identical one after another. I mean, how do you feel about having that as a pitch arsenal?
I don't think that's a good enough. I feel like what you're describing is more of a reliever closer kind of setup, like with Arsenal. As a starter, I don't know. I feel like in his case, having a cutter, I don't know if it'll work because he's a lefty. majority of baseball players are right-handed batters, so it's like you're gonna be living on throwing inside the whole time. Like, yeah, you may break some bats, but the margin of error is really small because you're facing a lot of righties. Well, the kind of argument can be said, oh, Mariano Rivera had a famous cutter. He used to throw it to lefties inside and break their bats.
But
But
to your point, he's a reliever. You don't see it,
at the end of the day, he's a reliever. You
right?
have a smaller sample size, and number
Right.
two, again, you're still facing majority right-handed batters, so it's more effective when you have a cutter using it against the same side of hitters, because if you make a mistake and you don't throw it in enough, it's gonna be hanging out in the middle of the plate. You know what I mean? Where the barrel is at in the sweet spot. So I don't know. I feel like he should have something like a changeup, maybe a circle change, maybe a curveball. Maybe a sinker, maybe a splitter. Those are pitches that I feel like are a little more effective, at least to mix it up for him. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
And I think if he could develop a good splitter, I mean, honestly speaking, compared to personally speaking, I don't know if you had this experience throughout your career, but I always figured that throwing a changeup was hard to throw. But having to grip the
I
ball
could
with
never
like
throw
all
that
four
shit, bro.
pitches,
I
it's
could never
so
throw
hard.
that.
I don't know if those are listening ever attempted to throw a changeup compared to a fastball. But it's very hard to, I wouldn't say control the pitch, but it's very easy to spike it because essentially what you're doing is that you're gripping the ball with four fingers and throwing it that way. Now, circle change, if you master the changeup, I think a circle change could be something that he can essentially adopt. But the thing is, bro, if he's been in the league for over 8 seasons now and he hasn't done it yet, nor has he done it in college, I mean, I don't think he's gonna eventually adopt a pitch like that. Maybe a sinker, but listen, at the end of the day, bro, as long as, he's making the changes, he's making the necessary changes to his repertoire. He's been pitching phenomenal throughout the spring. I think he got rocked early on, but I mean, his last outing after the news with Gerrit Cole, bro, it looked like it was a whole different person out there. Seriously, a gamer. And then I think it was a sign from the baseball gods that he had Joe Torre also go up to him to take him out the game. Maybe that's the baseball gods giving him a blessing. Who knows? Who honestly knows? But Gerrit Cole, just to circle back around Gerrit Cole, we were bracing for the worst. It's a blessing the fact that he's only missing 1 to 2 months at this current point in time. I mean, granted, anything could change in the future. He could have a strain. God forbid, knock a wood. I'm knocking wood on everything. But like, hopefully, we definitely dodged a huge bullet there. But unfortunately, the Mets did not dodge a bullet. And with that being said, it is reported that Kodai Senga is going to be out for approximately a month or so. I mean, as a Met fan, I hate to say it, but here you guys go again.
I
Can't
mean,
catch a break.
with him, I saw that he's starting to train again. I think it was yesterday that it was reported, so maybe a month or two. Um, it sucks because by default, he's our ace right now. But I'm not too mad only because I don't have high expectations for this year. Um, According to the GM and the ownership, this is a gap year. This is a year for them to retool, develop some of their prospects that they traded last year for the Max Scherzer trade, the Justin Verlander trade. See what they can do. You have Alonso with a pending free agency. You have Nimmo who you signed last year to, I believe it was an 8-year deal. You have Lindor that probably still has like 9 or 10 years left in his contract. The core pieces are still there. You have Alvarez that, in my opinion, I think he has the tools to be the best catcher. I don't think he's the best catcher now, maybe not next year, but sometime in his prime, I think he can be the best catcher right now. Last year we've seen a massive leap in his defense efforts, his catching runners, stealing bases. I think he was amongst the best last year. This spring training, he's been amazing behind the plate. He's been hitting the ball. I just wish he was a little better with pitch recognition and shrink his strike zone a little bit. But other than that, he has the power. He's young. He's charismatic. You could build around him. MLB maybe has a rising star in the palm of their hands right now. So I don't have high expectations. So it's all right. It sucks that he got hurt, but let's see. There's a lot of mixed emotions in the fan base. Some people think that we could low key sneak into the third wild card spot. Some feel like we just have around a 500 season. I'll take that. It is what it is. I just don't want to see bad baseball. As long as the team plays hard, keeps the runs within a good reach, that maybe you could win a game. Sure, you have Edwin Diaz coming back too. That's huge for
Yeah.
morale. And I think part of the failures last year to not to fail to repeat 22 season magic was Edwin Diaz falling out. I feel like he's a big part of the team culture. The fans are
Right before
behind.
the season was to start.
Yeah,
Also, yeah,
yeah.
that was a big blow. That
So
was a real big blow.
I feel like injuries do play a factor, regardless of who they are. If they starters
Hmm.
or play a big role to the team, it hurts for sure. So yeah, that's my take on the Mets right now,
I mean,
personally.
with Kodai Senga being out, I mean, how confident are you in the pitching staff right now? I mean, you guys have, Quintana.
Shit.
How do you feel? How do you feel about the pitching staff right now? I mean, in the offseason, you guys didn't really make a lot of moves. I mean, there are, obviously there were big names on there. Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery is still out there. I mean, you guys just signed JD Martinez. Um, I feel
I
like
think that's a great signing, actually. JD Martinez. I feel like
likewise. And for $12 million, it's not like you guys broke the bank anyway. I mean, let's be honest,
uh,
$12
we did
million,
we did
dollars,
break
that's a lot
we
of
did break
money.
we did break the bank though because of the tax. Because
Yeah,
that contract is worth 25 million.
yeah, but let me
12
tell you
million,
something. One
12
thing that
million.
I've observed, yeah, I'm sorry. One thing that I've observed out of Steve Cohen is that regardless of what the production that he gets out of players, is that he is willing to invest into not only just the players, but the impact that they may have. For example, I think that Steve Cohen purchased a machine that can relay realistic pitches over to the to the not to the client, but to the batter. And I mean JD Martin, the dude can hit. Like he is a hitter
Hitter.
to a T.
Yeah.
So when you have the likes of Pete Alonso, the young guns like Ronald Acuna's brother, like when you have young prospects coming up, having a veteran like JD, I mean, yeah, the productivity not might be there, but the impact can definitely be. It's like you're adopting essentially a different hitting coach, but and we'll see. We shall see when it comes down to that. But Kodai Senga being out, I mean, that's your guys' ace, respectfully. That was a huge blow, huge blow. But hopefully he's not gonna be out for too long, man. I mean, I feel like he's a person that's gonna age with fine wine, like fine wine. I feel like the older he gets and the more familiarity he gets with the MLB, I feel like he works on his deception more than trying to overpower hitters and stuff. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this is not his third or fourth run in or year in the MLB at the moment. So he was a
Nah, but he was a rookie last year.
he was a rookie last year. He was a rookie last
Yeah,
year, and he didn't even do so bad. So it's like,
he was an all-star too.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think he's eventually he's gonna fall to being like a number two, number three as he ages. But I think that having a reliable starter like a Jordan Montgomery now, Jordan Montgomery to me, let me tell you, he was a Yankee. I feel like he was a phenomenal pitcher. For some strange reason, every time that he pitched, it looked as though, or it felt as though the Yankees just weren't behind him offensively. I mean, there were a lot of ball games that he lost that were like 2-1, 3-2, and the offenses was behind him. But the dude is nasty. He's very reliable, very healthy, has good stuff. He reminds me of a lefty like Lance Lynn. Just like that vet that just gets it done. He takes the ball every 5 days, does what he needs to do. ERA can be below a 3.8, I mean, I think that's pretty high, but I think he has the ceiling to have it even lower than that. Um, but I think that Jordan Montgomery would make a lot of sense to you guys. It's just that are you guys willing? Um, you guys are already in the luxury tax, so it's kind of like, are you guys really willing to pay for that guy? But if it's not him, then who else is out there?
So for me, I feel like I wish the Mets would have signed either Snell or Montgomery or both. Even if this year's is a retool year, you could sign up for a multi-year deal. You could still have them for next year when the Mets ideally want to compete. I do think the tax is a big reason why these contracts are not being signed because the Mets are penalized for having the highest payroll. So that limits the transactions. I feel like that's why it took so long to even get JD Martinez too. Um, Montgomery, I feel like with the Yankees, I feel like I wouldn't say necessarily that it's always the offense that let them down. I feel like it's also the pitching, coaching. I feel like it was analytics, and I feel like it came from up top,
Oh
which is
yeah.
something I like criticize with the Yankees. I feel like they rely too heavily on analytics.
Yeah. I mean, the offense wasn't just the only thing to blame. I mean, for somebody to have as much success as he was trying to have that year, and then for it to go down the drain like that, there has to be multiple factors.
Oh
Has to
yeah,
be. It
I
can't
know,
just be one thing.
no, I know what it is.
Hmm.
So it was reported the Yankees, if I'm not mistaken, was telling him to throw, was it more fastballs? No,
More of a pitch that he wasn't necessarily familiar with, or
Off I
or.
think it was. And I think
Mhm.
once he went to the Cardinals in Texas, he started throwing more fastballs as he's wanted to and mix it up more. So I feel like that's what changed most about his game. I feel like he got unlocked because he was given more freedom to mix his pitches. Whether the
Yeah.
Yankees are more like you have to throw. I'm gonna give an example. You have to throw a changeup in the right corner because this hitter's hitting 188 on changeup outside, the lower outside part of the strike zone, and it's like, yeah, that's what the papers are telling you. That's what the numbers are telling you. But sometimes, numbers, can be flawed. Like numbers don't lie because numbers are numbers at the end of the day, but it depends how you apply those numbers for yourself.
Right.
And sometimes players, too much numbers is too much information overload. And I think that's what's kind of hurting the game for some players, the aspect of having an analytic driven game right now.
Right.
So
I agree. I agree. I mean, we're going to be discussing, everything that has to do with like the new CBA and how it's impacting free agents and, the analytical part again. You guys are going to have to stay tuned for another episode to hear our opinions on that. But we do have some opinions when it comes down to that. But we're going to go ahead and segue to how the offseason was for both teams. Since we went and carried over to a little bit of what the Mets were doing this offseason. I mean, how satisfied were you with from what it looked like? I mean, the Mets seemed to just wanted to stay put. They weren't really trying to spend like that. I mean, how satisfied were you, if you were satisfied with the offseason that the Mets just had?
I have mixed feelings because part of me is like, damn, I feel like we could have definitely done more, especially from the last two seasons where we spent money. Um,
So was that your expectation?
Yeah, it's a new culture. The owner, what, it's like year four, more or less, I think, into his new ownership. He promised a winning ball club. Not saying that I blame him for it because, I believe in him so far, but I just don't want him to have these thoughts later on where he bases it based on last year, like, oh, we had the highest payroll and it didn't work out. I don't want to do that again. Like, nah, don't be like the Wilpons. Keep putting this. It's gonna work out at some point. You got a lot of value back in prospects. Like that's key. Like the Mets needed to strengthen the farm system, and I
Yeah.
feel like they accomplished that. So good for them. Free agents. You can always get them. But it's always good to have a good farm system.
I mean, let's be honest. This free agent class wasn't. It wasn't
No,
the best if it wasn't for Otani Yamamoto. Now,
no, yeah,
the Yamamoto thing. I mean, a lot of us felt like he could have gone anywhere. I think Shohei's free agency was a little bit more clear cut that he wanted to stay in the West Coast. He was more familiar with the area. The Toronto thing, even though there was a time frame where everybody felt like it could have been a possibility. I mean, us Yankees and Mets fans, we thought it was gonna be a possibility that he was gonna come to us too. I mean, it's Shohei Ohtani for crying out loud. But I mean, the Yamamoto thing, I heard that the Mets offered Yamamoto more than the Dodgers and the Yankees. It's just that, you know, I don't know what happened exactly with the Mets negotiation, but I think at some point that he even went to Steve Cohen's house. I think that was reported. So they definitely tried for him, which I don't blame him. I mean, the dude going into this year was highly scouted, very talented. I mean, he had a very successful career in Japan so far. So young, only 25 years old. Shout out to MLB The Show, which I just played this morning and I saw that he's only 25 years old.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't blame the Mets for staying put because I feel like the contracts that you guys spent, like with Scherzer and Verlander, essentially when you guys traded them, you guys were able to accumulate a lot of prospects back. And we all know that in the finance of the MLB, sometimes when those veterans don't work out and they're worth a lot of money, you could typically trade them in the hopes of getting prospects back, and you pretty much are paying that money for those prospects. And I feel like you guys did that. I mean, you guys found a couple gems. What I felt like really hurt you guys is I feel like third base is in question, and I feel like that's something where Mauricio could have probably filled the void. Um, but being a Met fan like yourself, I mean, how do you feel about your prospects? Like ideally, like do you feel like a baddie can be given another chance? Mauricio when he comes back. You already spoke about Francisco Alvarez, and I think the dude's a stud. A stud. Sometimes you can see a dude swing and just know that this guy is dangerous.
He's a horse, bro.
Like to me, he can hit the ball for sure.
He's a
But
charger,
I
bro.
mean,
He's a charger. There's
yeah.
literally
So tell me, how do you feel about the prospects going into it? I mean, have you dived a little bit into it? It's okay if you haven't.
I like him,
But
man.
on the surface, how do you feel about the prospects that the Mets
I
currently
like
have?
them. I feel like the Mets will be split maybe this year or next year. Well, it started kind of last year. You have the Mets, the core players. You have Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo, McNeil, Marte, and they have the baby Mets, which is Alvarez, Mauricio, Beatty, Vientos, Luis
Vientos
Angel
also,
is gonna
yeah.
be in it. And there's a bunch of more other guys. Jet Williams, Logan Gilbert, something like that. Yeah, man. I feel like I like them. I think they all studs. The question, third base, yeah, it should be Brett Beatty. They saying that he's looking better this year. He looks a little more solid, like power wise, using his legs more. I wouldn't give up on him yet. I think it's too early. I like that he's a lefty at third base, brings a little more balance. Vientos, I like him, but I feel like he hasn't been given the chance with a big sample size to showcase, his full ability to let him develop reading pitches, pitch selection. So I feel like when you limit him to DHing or just playing spot starts, it's hard because now you're pressing, trying to go 2 for 2, 2 for 3, 3 for 4, be productive. And if you don't do that because you don't see enough pitches, it's like it's hard to get a rhythm. Baseball's a game of
Right.
repetition, rhythm. So, but I like.
Repetition and reps, absolutely.
So I'm not too mad, man. Like I said, like with the Mets, I wish they'd done more in the offseason, but I'm also fine because I do want to see these young players play because at some point the Mets have to make a decision. Are we gonna have to trade some of them? Are we gonna have whose spot are they taking? Because third base, you have about 2 to 3 guys that are fighting for it, which is Mauricio if he was healthy, Brett Beatty, who's supposed to be the starter, and then you got Vientos too. Then second base, you could put out Mauricio as well, and then you have Luis Angeles Acuna, and then you also have McNeil, which can play left field, but he's ideally a second base. What
Right.
are you going to do with that? Because he just got signed for 5 years last year too. So those are some questions that I feel like they have to answer. You have to answer whether Starlin Marte is going to be traded this year. What are you going to get for him? Because he's coming into the season healthy for. It's been a while. So
Which, by the way, I mean, Starling Marte, this is besides the point, but Starling Marte was actually one of my favorite players of all time.
he's done, bro. He's a baller. When he's
Right.
healthy, he's a
Like,
baller, bro.
yeah, like there was something about his approach, like his swing, like how he, um, like his batting stance, the way that he has his timing mechanism when he's waving the bat to the short leg stride and everything. I just love the way he just whacks the ball more or less, and he's very underrated in my opinion. I think he was one of the most underrated baseball players of this era, going between
Oh
I
yes,
don't
he
know
was.
when he came into the league, but from like 2012 till now, he's very underrated. I mean, he was a
Yeah,
beast in Pittsburgh, carried the franchise after Andrew McCutchen. He
he was
did
Gucci
pretty
in
good in
Miami
Oakland.
too.
He went to Miami also. Like he's one of those journeymen, but very, very solid, very, very solid. So I'm glad to see that he's back. He's healthy. He's a little bit older, but I still think that he still has a little bit left in the tank. And I just think that he can still age well. He still got a little bit left in the tank. Now, um, to segue towards what the Yankees offseason, I mean, to be honest with you, the Yamamoto thing irked me only because I felt like I was really misled. And I feel like there's not only a lot of Yankee fans that feel this way, but there's a lot of other organizations that feel that way. I mean, Toronto, the Angels, I mean, everybody has an argument for that. But when you have the manager of the New York Yankees on camera saying that he gave Otani, I'm sorry, not Otani, Yamamoto a jersey and says here, um, this is this is your jersey, this is your number, this is for you. You guys saved the number 18 for him. I'm thinking like it's given. Like he's probably you want to be a free agent, you want to see, you want to visit different teams, you want to see what they offer. You know what I'm saying? As a free agent, shit, I'll do the same thing too. I want to be wined and dined and see what you guys got for me and stuff. But man, when I saw that he went to the Dodgers, I mean, it came out after the fact. I don't know if you saw this, but it was some Yankee representative. I don't know if it was Aaron Boone. I think actually it was Brian Cashman when he did it on Talking Yankees, Talking Yanks. Shout out to John Boy Media. That when they visited him in LA, that they did everything possible to persuade him. And then when the Yankee representatives went back to their hotel room and they went to a balcony and they looked outside the window and it was beautiful weather and they all looked at each other and said, "This is what we're up against. California weather." And he was there prior to the meeting for weeks. So he was already getting situated in LA. I don't blame him for going to LA. I mean, let's be honest, the weather here in New York City is not the best all the time, but I felt like I was very much led on. And as a Yankee fan, that's what got me upset. I wish him nothing but the best. I mean, I would love to see him succeed. But I feel like I was misled. Now, in terms of the other moves that we did, Juan Soto was an absolute necessity. I don't want to hear it. Yeah, we did give up a lot of pitching. I mean, Michael King, the dude can pitch. That is a pitcher's pitcher. The dude can pitch. Um, what's his name? I forgot the prospect. He was just recently traded once again to Chicago for Dylan Cease. But the prospect that we sent to the Padres for Juan Soto, dude, like I think he was like minor league pitcher of the year last year as well. And
Hmm.
he has that competitor edge to him as I seen him pitching throughout the minors. For some reason, his name, make sure you guys mention it in the comment. For some reason I can't think of his name. Um, but the dude was a stud. Did we give up a lot of pitching? Absolutely. I fully believe so. But it was necessary to get Juan Soto. I mean, it's Juan Soto, number one, generational talent, World Series champion, future Hall of Famer, hopefully, if he stays healthy. Um, we gave up a lot of pitching, but if you ask me, like, what's it gonna take for you to take Juan Soto and unfortunately Michael King and Drew Thorpe, that's the name, Drew Thorpe. That's what it takes. I'll do that 5 times, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like it's Juan Soto, and the offense last year was abysmal. It was horrible. I can't even remember off the top of my head last year if we had more than 10 runs, more than 5 times in the season. I don't even think last year I heard Michael K say a bloop and a blast. And that's like his signature phrase. And we didn't get none of that. I feel like we solidified, having lefties. I mean, like having lefties in the MLB and any MLB team is very important. The Yankees definitely addressed that with Verdugo. We as a throw-in, we ended up getting Trent Grisham. I mean, he is phenomenal defensively. Not so much good with the bat, but however, his lefty splits as a lefty batter, he actually hits well against lefties. So how about that? Um, and I think last year we had maybe like max 2 lefties. Let me be honest. We had probably one quality left-handed bat all last year. I'm sorry. Anthony Rizzo was the only quality left-handed
Well,
batter.
he got hurt too, so
And
that
he
is.
got hurt. He got hurt because of Fernando Tatis' butt, which is the craziest thing I ever heard. But that happened. I think we were running not good plays out there in the outfield. We had infielders in the outfield. Like so the fact that we addressed that early on into the season, I feel like those were moves that were necessary. I think it put the juice in Giancarlo Stanton bat that if he didn't perform this year, guess what, bro? If you don't perform this year, we got 3 other hitters that could probably be more productive than you. And then he came into this year with like looking like he lost 30 pounds. It's like, we needed that. We needed that. We know from our experience playing collegiate and high school levels that, there's always gonna be somebody looking to take your spot. Always. You can never take that for granted. So maybe the Yankees needed that. So yeah, I still think that we need pitchers. This is probably not a popular opinion, but I do think that Trevor Bauer is definitely something that they should consider. He's going to be pitching against the Yankees in the next couple of days for the Mexican series, and why not? It's risk free. He's playing for the minimum. He has nasty stuff on his YouTube page. He recorded over 100 miles an hour messing around with these young minor leaguers and he's doing it like nothing. Like I understand that there might have been a hiccup between him and Gary Cole previously. I know I'm going on a little rant right now, but I think he's being blackballed. It's going to be a discussion for a different day. I think he's being blackballed for the MLB. If you ask for my personal opinion, it's just my opinion. But I mean, the dude can pitch, and that's what we need. We need pitchers, hands down. We need pitching. Rodon, we can't trust him right now. Marcus Stroman, I said it from the beginning through different dialogue. The dude is a gamer. I think Yankee fans are gonna love him. I think that all the energy that he had going into the season against Yankee fans. Listen, I don't blame the dude for blocking people on social media. Sometimes you need to. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to block out the words for you to be who you are and do what you got to do. Um, so I don't blame him for doing that to fans, people of the Yankees media. I don't blame him for doing that at all. But the dude's a gamer. He wants to be in New York. He's from New York. The dude has nasty stuff. I think that when the lights shine brightest, I think that he's capable of doing what he got to do. So in terms of the offseason, I graded a B plus. I think that's fair. Could have been an A if we got 1 or 2 more pitchers, and the quality of pitchers that I'm asking for, it was not going to be a Blake Snell. It was not going to be a Jordan Montgomery. I think that we could have done just fine with maybe a Trevor Bauer, something that's risk free. If we had more Lorenzen or the Dunn and Cease trade, really, I think could have really given us an A plus plus. But we just need pitching, 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 and like the saying goes, you can never have enough pitching. And this is also a saying as of now, as a Yankee fan, I think it's safe for us to say this, but a lot of the Yankee players are also injury prone. It's been a couple of years now. Let's be honest. I think that, we just needed to pile up on the pitching, dude, to be honest with you. But I think it was a B plus. We got Juan Soto as a generational talent. Huge impact on the team so far. Our lineup is looking pretty good. The pitching staff, we'll see how it goes, man. But Matt Blake is a really good pitching coach. The Yankees are known for having great gems in the bullpen. They're able to find those. Luis Hill was looking phenomenal this spring. I think he is making his case to be the fifth starter. Um, to speak about Luis Severino, who's now a New York Met. I think the Mets found a gold mine. To be honest with you, I didn't want to give up on Luis Severino. I think he needed a change of scenery. Um, I think that he just had a lot of bad luck with his injuries. I mean, I felt for the guy. But the ace potential is there. He has the stuff. I mean, this dude was the ace of the Yankees when he was literally 22 years old. That's saying something. And I think the Mets definitely found the gem. Hopefully he proves me right. I wish the guy nothing but the best, but I do feel like the Yankees could definitely use a little bit more pitching.
Um, I agree. I would grade them a B though. I think the moves are good for the Yankees. I feel like they for once in a life address the team needs. Again, I do think they could have added more pitching, but other than that, man, they got a good squad. Hopefully the pitching can hold up and sustain them enough to be in games. The versatility with the offense, I think, can help out. If you have labor producing again like last year, I think he's a pending free agent, so it's something to watch too. You have Rizzo. Let's see how he bounces back from concussion issues last year. Soto, maybe DJ LeMahieu steps up finally because it's been a couple of years now. Judge, he's phenomenal. IKF, no, not IKF. He's not on the team, right?
No, I think he went to Toronto. Toronto.
Who
Big
is
fan
it?
of IKF, by the way. I mean, the dude is a hustler, bro. No complaints out of the guy. So best of luck to you, Mr. IKF. Phenomenal Yankee, I think you were. Took it to the chin. So I just want to, honestly speaking, bro, there's a lot of role players like that don't get the credit they deserve. So on the 300 Club podcast, we will give the credit when it's due. We are going to give you your flowers. Mr. IKF, you were probably not the best Yankee statistically, but you took it to the chin. You did everything you were asked of. But, unfortunately, we just needed to do better. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Volpe, he had a. I want to see how he grows this year too. The pop is there, but I don't know if I want him to chase homers. The
right.
stolen base speed is there. I would like him to hit more in the gaps. His defense is good so far. He did make a good amount of errors last year, but
Which actually shocked me the fact that he won the Gold Glove. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Yankee fan. I get that.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, on the beginning of the season, he was making a lot of errors. Now, as the season progressed, he did a lot of heads up. The thing is that he's just a good heads up player defensively. Like
yeah.
he just know the arm strength is not the best, but he makes it up in different ways. But that's besides the point. We're gonna get into that at a further episode. Thank you so much for watching the very first episode of the 300 podcast brought to you by Encoded Media. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment below. Make sure you guys follow us on all platforms on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Do it all. The 300 podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.